Peace and blessings. Welcome to Diva G's Reborn. I am Regina. We are here with this lovely 20-inch Realborn from Bountiful Babies. This is Reborn or Realborn Canon. Canon is a very lovely kit. We went over the kit in our recent live. I will also kind of go over his lens a little bit with you here before we apply our very first layer, which is to prime him. Canon is a realborn, meaning that he is sculpted from a 3D picture or multiple 3D pictures of the actual baby Canon. This baby has a light fontanelle, which is the soft spot in the top of the head. He doesn't have one in the back, but he does have one on the top. He is a closed eye kit. As you can see, his nostrils go rather deep, and his ears also have some depth to it. So it's going to be a lot of fun doing the ear canal and his nose. Yeah, so that's Cannon's head. His limbs, his left hand is completely open. Look at that. Oh, wow. He has a lot of detailing in the palm and on the wrist. His nail beds are really, really lovely. Let's see if we can focus in on the nail beds. Okay, look at that thumb. Very nice, very nice, very nice limbs. His limbs are full. Okay, and then this hand, this is the right hand. The right hand, his index finger is down beneath his thumb, and you can see those lovely nail beds. And you can go look inside the palm. His palm looks very nice as well, very detailed. His toenails are really, really lovely. Look at those toes. This is the left foot and his nice little ankle. There's some wrinkles there that we'll have fun with, and the nice folds here. Yes, very nice, very nice, very nice. And then this is his right leg. His right leg, his little pinky toe is down a little bit, looking so sweet and cute. You can see the nail bed on that pinky toe, and you can see the nail bed on the rest of the fingers, and that little foot is turned up a little bit, showing somewhat of that ankle. Look at that heel of that foot, those calves, and his thigh. You have some folds in his thigh. Okay, very nice. Now we've already washed the kit with our Dawn dish liquid. We let the kit dry, or we patted it dry, and then we wiped down with alcohol, and we let the alcohol flash off, meaning it, air dry. Now what we have here is what we'll be using for the what we will be using for his very first layer, which is to prime him. We'll be using this mix of Liquitex and Duraclear liquid. We're going to put a very fine amount on him, and we're going to mix it with the brush. We'll apply it with the brush, and we're going to pounce it out with our cosmetic wedges. These are the inexpensive ones, and we will break that in half so that we can have multiples, and it has slightly some texture to it that can kind of add a little bit more dimension to the kit so that the paint will have something to grab hold to. I'm pulling apart multiples because they will get kind of gunked up rather quickly. I have some distilled water that immediately after I will place my brushes in so that this does not cake up inside the brush. I've used these brushes with all of my reborns thus far, and what I do immediately is stick them in the distilled water, let them soak a bit, and then I wash them with some Dawn dish liquid and let them dry, and I've been able to use them again. So far, so good. So I will apply with this larger one. I will pounce with the cosmetic wedge, and I will do whatever cleanup there is or defining with the smaller brush. So here we go. We'll mix this up. Okay, we're going to apply a thin layer. It doesn't need to be very, very heavy. Now, one of the reasons that we apply this primer is so that the paint will actually stick. It won't have a problem adhering to the vinyl. Now, I use air dry paint. I've not had an issue with paint sticking since I've been doing this. Now, my very first kit that I reborn was Sonic, and I don't think I primed the kit. I don't think I primed the kit. Um, and I don't think that I had mixed the paint the same way that I currently do with the Liquitex and the satin gel, the satin and the wedding age. I didn't do that with Sonic. However, with Sonic, her, the paint did adhere, but I had a little bit more work with her because although the paint did adhere, the since I use air dry, which is the base is water, it was I was kind of chasing the paint because it was very liquid. But now that I use my air dry paint and I add the liquid text along with the satin glaze and the wetting agent, along of course with my distilled water, I don't find that I'm chasing the paint. I find that I can paint in a more um, leisurely way where I can pay close attention to what I am doing and I don't feel like I'm rushing. Because that's one of the differences between air dry artists and heat set artists. Heat set often has more time to kind of work with their paints and take their time a little bit more than air dry artists. However, once you mix your air dry paints, if you decide to, because I'm not an authority, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just saying what it is that I do. If you mix it with the Liquitex matte gel and the golden satin glaze, the wedding drops, and your distilled water, you will find that you have more time to work with your kit. And you won't feel rushed. You'll just have more time to actually work with your kit, which is something that's good because you can pay attention more so to the details. Now, I've gone all the way over Canon's head. I have, his ears as well. So what I'm going to do is kind of do some of that cleanup that I made mention of. The inside of the ears, I want the prime to be inside so that the paint will also stick. However, just as with all of our paints, we want to avoid any pooling at all. So I'm going over the lips to make sure there's no pooling under the chin, in all of the creases, just to get out anything that might be yet inside that would cause pooling. Going under his earlobes, he has some nice earlobes that are away from his skull, which is kind of nice when you're thinking about if we if he was a girl, how the earrings would be. Um, it's just nice to be able to paint with um, just, different kits are different ways. And again, he is a Realborn from Bountiful Babies. I have a little spot here. And he is a 20-inch kit. And he is created from a real baby. That's why it's called a Realborn. A real baby from 3D images of the baby. And again, this is Canon. He is 20 inches. And he is an adorable, adorable kid to work with. He is adorable. So as you can see, uh, actually there's nothing really to see. The kit doesn't look any different at all. So, but the difference will be when we're painting. So what I will do is I'm going to go over all of the limbs the very same way, and I will come back and then we will continue with the next step. I forgot to mention that I will be priming both the full, the front of the female torso and the boy torso, because I haven't yet made up my mind what Canon is going to be. So I will be um, priming both. Finishing up, priming the torso of the male torso actually, and I'm using again the Liquitex matte gel mixed with the satin gel from Duraclear. And the purpose of the priming is so that the paint will have something to grab hold to. And this is something that I have found that has been helpful with the paint grabbing on, because I do use air dry paint. So, which the base of it is water. So I find that this is helpful in the pouncing that I'm doing. It's not so much as getting off excess because we didn't put that much on, but it's to make sure that we don't have any brush strokes that are on the kit. We don't want any brush strokes on the kit because that will look unnatural. Okay, so we don't want that. I am pouncing a little bit of it off just in case. But again, I only put a very, very thin layer on so that it's not anything that really has to be pounced off. Now I'm going to go inside all of the creases to be sure that there isn't any buildup, but we do want to have the primer inside the creases because we do want the paint to stick inside those creases. Now this is the first time that I am painting a belly plate, um, and I am excited to do so. I have both the male and the female. So let's get it cooking with painting our baby Canon. Okay, so what we will be doing is some minor veining on our baby Canon. You may know that um, painting is not my favorite thing to do in this way. I like to model in a certain way that it appears to be veins. However, I am going to do a little bit on our Canon. So I'm using from my Prismacolor pencils, I'm using, what is this? A light cerulean blue. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. But in any event, it kind of appears to be a vein type color. And I have a little bit of a wedge that I ripped apart that I'm going to see about kind of blending out the edges. So here we go. Remember, veins are very, very squiggly and they're not thin. So we want them to appear kind of like trees. And remember, trees have branches. So we're making the veins. So now I'm kind of feathering it out a bit, especially on the ends. This is going to be under the skin. And since our baby is going to have a dark skin tone, these probably won't even appear to show up, but we're putting them anyway. Um, we're putting them anyway. So I'm going over the line kind of side by side, and I'm holding my pencil kind of on this side so that it's making a slightly thicker line than if I were making it just like a straight pencil. Okay, so here our vein lines, our veins look pretty good. I'm going mostly on the scalp, a little bit on the temple. Um, you won't really see it again that much because I do darker skin tones, so you may not see it as much, but we are continuing to strive for that realism, so we are putting veins as well. So you can see, this is our baby Canon. He is a realborn from Bountiful Baby. I'm going to put a little veining inside the ear. Now this one may show up because the inside, when we paint the inside of the ear, it is a little bit lighter. So this vein might in fact actually be visible. So let's see if you can. Even though you can see it slightly on camera, once we paint, you won't see it. You won't be able to really see it, but we're putting it. And I'm going again on the inner ear with this nice pencil. Um, I like the pencil um, to be able to do this because you don't have to, in a sense, blow any excess off. Um, I have a little, um, where is it? It's a little bulb blower thingy that I call it because I don't want to blow my breath on the kit. See, I have this that I use if there's like if I'm using any powders, this blows off anything that might be on the kit, any of the excess powders. But I haven't had to use it even when I did Honey's nails with the shadow. I didn't find that I needed to use it. Okay, so now what did I just do with my pencil? Oh, here it is, right in front of me. Okay, so now I'm going across, I'm going to go a little bit on the top of the head with a little bit of the veining. Again, I'm not doing that much. I know there is a vein that kind of is in the center of the forehead. I don't do that vein. I don't I don't do that vein. I do veins that that I like. So this is, I'm just kind of brushing it or rubbing it with cosmetic wedge. The cosmetic wedge is dry, and we just recently, what do you call it, primed him. So in priming him, the pencil also has something to grab hold to. So we can make, and all of this that we're doing is going to actually be under the hair because Canon will have hair, and you'll be able to kind of maybe see a little bit through the hair, maybe, maybe not. It depends on the actual complexion that Canon will ultimately be because the scalp is a little bit lighter than the rest of the body. So it's a possibility it might be somewhat visible on the scalp, but there's no guarantee because I'm not sure of the complexion that he will be, because I believe that the kit tells you what it wants. So he has some veins on his head. I don't do any veining on the face. That's not an area that I like to vein, so I don't do it. Um, Now for his hand on his right, on his left hand, what I will do is I will go from the fingers back toward the wrist and do some veins. Now he does have some wrinkles there, so you really wouldn't see any veins where the wrinkles are, but you maybe would see them behind the wrinkles. So again, his complexion is going to be, a dark skin tone, so you may not even see these, but we're going to go ahead anyway, and we're going to put them, and then we're going to blend them out. See a little bit. Okay. And then there's usually always a very nice vein at the thumb. So I'm going to do that thumb vein. And because of where the skin blends with the palm, this vein might actually be somewhat visible. So I brushed it so till it came off. Okay, let's go again with it. Okay, this vein might be visible when after we do the painting, because again, right there at that area, that's where the skin changes from the actual skin to the palm. So it's possible that you would see it. Oftentimes there are veins that come from the wrist area onto the palm, and we're going to make some of those. Now, because Canon has quite a few wrinkles on his palm, these veins may not actually even be visible. However, we did put them there. Okay, so you can see those. Now, we maybe would see his brachial artery in here. This is an artery that you feel for when you're feeling for an infant's pulse. That's usually one that you can definitely find on an infant. Okay, you can see that a little bit. Then we're going to go ahead and do a vein back here. Again, I have my pencil kind of on a slant in hopes that it doesn't make it look like a pencil, like someone drew on the kit with a pencil, even though that is what I'm doing, but that it would give the illusion of a vein. Okay. Now, when we do the foundation layer, these veins will be visible. However, once we begin to put our skin tone layers on, these veins, they will kind of fade, and you won't see them. They'll be there, but you really won't see them. Okay, because of the skin tone. I haven't decided which kit that I will make into a vitiligo baby, and I haven't decided on which baby will be an albino. I have not yet decided on that. Canon will be available for layaway if you reach out to me, or um, direct for, cash, where you don't have to lay them away. You could just get them immediately. Okay, you could reach out to me. You could let me know. The same thing with honey. Honey is available for layaway or immediate purchase. Of course, I have to complete Honey's hair, and she has to be sealed. But that's she would be available. So if you're interested, do reach out. Do reach out. Now I'm just going over veining on the hands, and Canon also will be available for layaway or immediate purchase. If you're interested in either option, reach out to me and we can discuss the details. I believe the email is attached, so you could reach out to me via email, or you could make mention in the comments, and then we could have some conversation about it with the details. These veins are coming out so nicely, it's going to be almost a shame that they're going to be covered up. Ah, the pencil makes it less intimidating. It really does. It makes it less intimidating and a bit easier to achieve the end goal. So I like that. Now, of course, on a real human, the veins are in certain places, you know, anatomy wise. However, since we're doing a doll, we're just placing them where we think they would kind of be. We're not pulling our hair out about it. We want to have fun doing this. I mean, I studied anatomy and physiology. You may know that I'm a nurse by profession, however, I'm retired. So, anatomy and physiology is something that, oh, yeah, I studied, but that doesn't mean that I want to go over it with the baby dolls. I enjoy just having fun. Okay, now on to the legs. Now, where you see these lovely rolls, you really wouldn't see veins. You really wouldn't see them. You maybe would see it on the side of the thigh here, the outer thigh. You maybe would see some veining here. Okay, maybe would see some there. And um, you maybe would see some on the calf, especially the back here. Okay. When you hear of someone having a clot and you hear like a DVT, that's where it would be deep vein thrombosis. That's where it would be in this area, in the calf area. And you may also hear of a pulmonary embolism, and that's a clot that's in the lungs. I believe Serena Williams had that. I think she had that. I'm not certain, but I think she did. Oh no, this sounds like it's almost turning into an anatomy class. Uh-oh, let's stop. Let's stop. We don't want to do anatomy. Okay, on the heel, I like to sometimes put a vein here because it looks so cute. I don't know if it's going to continue to be visible because once we do our foundation layers and, it may not really end up being visible, but we're going to definitely put it because once we do the foundation layers and then we put um, the sole, the color for the sole of the foot, it may not be quite as visible. Now, on the instep of the foot going up, oftentimes you will see veins. So we're going to try to see if we can get some veining in here. We're going to try to see if we can put a little bit. Okay, we got a little bit there. A little bit. Now on the side of the toe, the great toe, the big toe, oftentimes you will see some vein as well. Now even though we primed the kit, I see that the pencil does not want to fully catch onto the toe. And see, toes and fingers are where sometimes the paint sticking can be a bit of a challenge. So, but I don't think that's going to be the issue here. I'm just saying. Now, a little bit on the top of the foot, you may see some veining. Now, because he does have a little bit of creases here, we really wouldn't see a whole bunch of it, of anything like that. But we are going to put some veining on the top of the foot. Okay? Because, the veins would be going to the toes. So you can see that. Okay. All right. And sometimes on the front, going around the knee, the patella, you might see a little something. And making Y's and kind of U's and W's kind of simulates the vein. If you can see veins on yourself, you might see that they kind of look similar to the Y's and the squiggly lines. You might see that on yourself. Although on those of us who are melanated, deeply melanated, you may not see the veins like that at all, but they're there. On the outside of the foot, there are some veins as well. We're going to go with some here too. But because the baby has some creases there, I don't know how much would actually be visible. But we're going to put a little bit there. Just a little bit. Now we're going to go with the other leg and foot. Now this foot is kind of curved downward slightly, so we may be able to get a little bit more veining in. You kind of think about, okay, the veins, the toes, and you can maybe put a little bit like that. But it's your own individual art. It's your own individual art. You're not getting graded on it. This is your own individual interpretation. And that's the fun part about reborning. It's your own interpretation. You could have 1,000 reborn artists do a kit, and you will not have two kits the same because everyone has their own vision and interpretation of the kit. So that's the thing. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of art. It's your interpretation. And you do have that freedom, except for if you're doing a custom, that might be different. However, but when you're just, creating. It's your own interpretation. I like that vein on that foot there, on that heel. It's your own interpretation. And it's fun, it's enjoyable. And the veins don't have to be, you're not looking to make them the same on each leg or arm. You're not looking to do that. They don't have to be mirror images of one another. You know, they're kind of, again, wherever you think they should go. The only thing is, you can't see them in a crease and you can't see them in a, fat, over fat. Anywhere that has a fatty area, you really wouldn't see veins there. They would be buried so deep underneath that you wouldn't see that. Now around this ankle bone, because there isn't any fat, you would see like a vein there. So I'm gonna put some veining there. And then I'm just pouncing, kind of brushing it out a little bit. I'm certain that after the first foundation layer, pretty much these will not be visible. But we know that they're there. We know that they're there. And on the off chance that the baby turns out to be fair skinned, the veins are here. The veins are here. Today is November the 11th, 2025, Veterans Day. If there are any veterans that are watching, thank you for your service. From the depth of my heart, thank you. The sacrifices that you made, the things that you went through and endured, thank you for your service. Thank you. For what the veterans have sacrificed and do sacrifice is one of the reasons that we do have much of what we have here in America. Some of the freedoms or advantages that we have, that we experience. Again, thank you for your service. Okay, so I think we're done with our veining. I think what I will do is the foundation layer, and then we'll do some modeling. Okay, now my brushes that I did the priming with are nearly dry. I'm going to put away my Prismacolor pencils. I'm going to take out my paint brushes. This away. Let's see, do I have enough? Yes, I do. And then we're going to go into our foundation layers. Foundation layer, that's something that I made up. I don't know if anyone else calls it that or uses it. But this is a very pale color. It's extremely pale. I'm mixing it up. It's very, very pale. Okay. And I put this on first. I put like 1 to 2 layers on the kit first. And that just kind of gets me started. And on the off chance that you have to strip the kit because there's a foundation layer, when you strip it, it would go down to this color. If you started with, say, a red wash and you needed to strip the kit, when you strip the kit would be stained red. Or if you use blue, the kit would be stained blue. So since I'm using this foundation layer, on the off chance that I would need to strip the kit, it would just go down to this layer. But I also like using this because, again, it's a foundation layer. It's something that I feel kind of gets everything started. So to me, that's what it is. Also, so and in here, it's just a mix of a very light brown and a little bit of the Liquitex matte gel and a little bit of the satin glaze. And you maybe can see the thickness is very thin. You may not be able to see it dripping off the light. You can see it. Okay. It's the consistency of, I guess, kind of like milk. Or maybe skim milk. Like skim milk. So I'm going to get my cosmetic wedge so that I can pounce. And this is a cosmetic wedge. This one is a Swisspers cosmetic wedge, which kind of leaves like a skin texture behind. So we're going to go over the entire kit. Oh, I forgot. Before we paint, one of the things that I like to do is to go into the nose with a dark color with black, because it's the nose you like to build up color. And I find that if I go inside, now he has a pretty good deep nose where I can go inside with the black pencil, the black Prisma pencil, and then I'm going to go in with some black paint. Okay. Don't mind the rim of what's on the rim. You see some of that deep inside? I like to do that. Now for my dolls, that's what I've been doing, and I've been pleased with that. Where's my little wedgie? Okay. And that's what I've been doing, and I like how that's turned out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the nose with a little bit of black paint, believe it or not. That's what I do. I go in with a little bit of black paint. Let me put this away. I don't want to have any accidents, spill anything anywhere. Okay, I have some black paint here. I have to slightly reconstitute it with a little bit of this distilled water wetting agent mix. Gonna put a little bit in there to reconstitute it because it's a little bit dry. I'm gonna let that sit there just for a second, and then I want to mix it up. Yeah, it mixes up so nicely. And what I do is I mix it to, it's not milky. A little bit, I don't know what would come after milky. It's not like yogurt either, but it's a little bit thicker than water. It's thicker than water, a little bit thicker than milk. I don't know. I can't even explain. I don't know what to compare it with. But I'm just going to take this brush, which is a round brush that came with my Ultimate Fusion paint. Oh, I'm glad I double checked. I have paint on my hands. Okay, we don't want that. Don't want that. We're going to get that off because we don't want any stray marks on our kit. It's always good to double check your hands because you never know. You never know, and you don't want to have that accident occur. Okay, so I'm going to just simply go inside the nostrils um, a little bit. This gives a little bit of a head start on the shading in the nostrils. Now, I know a lot of people say don't use black. Well, I can't say a lot of people. I know I've heard, that you really don't use black. However, I've found that using the black gives a head start to the shading in the nose and even the ears if you desire to put it there as well. I've done the ears that way too. Now what I will do is, because I got a little bit on the outside, I'm going to just take one of my pointed Q-tips and get that out. Now what I do is I don't want it all the way to the front of the nostril. I want to keep that blank because I want the skin tone to be there. So what I am doing is I'm just taking a little bit distilled water on here, and then I'm going to go around. I'm going to remove the bit that's on the outside. Okay, I'm going to remove the bit that's on the outside, and then I'm going to go the inside on the borders of the nostril on the inside and just clean that up a little bit, because we want that to have skin tone. We want that to have a little bit of a skin tone. The only thing we want with the black is for it to give like a shading color. But we do want the kit to have that skin tone. Now, pouncing is important in a sense that you don't want pooling, anything like that. Okay, now there wasn't enough to pool, but I am going to do a little pounce. I'm going to do a little pounce. Now, I'm going to show you what we have. You see that nice bit of shading? You see? That's some nice bit of shading right there. Now, again, I'm not all the way at the edge because there's going to be skin tone, okay? But that portion that's in the back, there it's shaded. Now, we could do the same thing inside of Canon's ears. Okay, let me see what I want to use, because I like to make that little triangle area in the ear. And just a small little triangle area. Let me use the other brush, small brush that I have. Because black, when you're painting with it, it can be unforgiving. So I want to use a brush with fine bristles. I'm going to use this detail brush that came with my Ultimate Fusion paint. I wet it a little bit with some distilled water that I have right here. And the reason is so that the bristles would get a little bit more, would get softer, and they would then be able to pull up some of this paint that we have here. Okay, and again, this is straight black, but it does have the a little bit of the Liquitex, the satin glaze, and the wetting agent. Now what I did is I loaded the brush up. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to just brush it a little bit off onto the paper towel. Then I'm going to go inside what would be the ear canal. And I'm going to brace my arms and I'm going to go very slowly and gently and make that triangle inside. Now, when you are doing this, you know, everything with reborning is layer upon layer. And that's what helps to create that realism. Nothing, we don't hurry about anything. Nothing is a hurry. Nothing. We don't have to rush for anything. We're just going in, making this little triangle that gives the illusion of a canal. Now I'm going to take this other brush. Okay, you can kind of see a little bit in that triangle that's in the canal. Now I want to clean it up because I have a little bit on the outside. So I want to clean that up just a little bit. Just a little bit. You see? Now you have that deep, you know, that shadow, that shading for the that shading for the ear canal. So we're going to go into the other ear. And do the same thing. Now the funny thing, one ear will be easier than the other ear, depending on if you're right-handed or left-handed. It's the same way with the eyebrows or anything. It depends on if you're right-handed or left-handed, how you, what, which one may be slightly more challenging. Now again, I'm following the idea of a triangle. Now I'm going to clean it up. Okay, I did the triangle, but I need to clean it up. Because I got some on the outside of the ear. We don't want it there. Then we want to go anywhere we don't want to have that shadow. And we remove that. And then we're just going to go in and shape around. Okay. With what would make it appear to be the ear canal. Now it's not going to look, you know, black, 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 stark black. It's not going to look that way. Because remember, we're going to be, you know, layers of paint are going to be going on. So it's not going to look that way, but it's shaded. So we have a little bit of a head start. And anything that can help to make this easier and more enjoyable, why not? Why not? Now let me put this away. So I don't know if anyone else does it that way. Someone else might. I don't know. I've never seen anyone else do it that way. I just kind of thought about it and thought it might be, you know, make my life easier. So I figured, hey, why not share it? I'm just cleaning up again wherever I don't think the black shadow should be. I'm just kind of cleaning up that area. When I put his head back on the stand, I saw an area that I didn't want to have that color. Okay, so I'm pleased I'm pleased with the shading in his nose and in his ears. Now look, doesn't he look really pretty good now? Oh my, oh my, we're almost at an hour. Oh, I apologize for that. Wow. I'm going to do some of the foundation coloring. Just one second, let me get it out. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the arm and the hand because our Canon's head, you know, his shading is still drying. So I don't want to, there's no need to rush and to do that. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to paint maybe one or two limbs and then be on our way. So again, now we have our foundation paint color, which is a very, very pale kind of taupey um, color that, you know, I kind of like, I don't know, like I kind of mixed. I can't even begin to tell you what colors it is. It's just like a very light brown. So I'm going over his fingers, his hand, his fingers. I'm going over the entire kit with this color, including his nails. Now, you may remember that when we do the nails, we end up cleaning off the nail bed. Um, so this color, more than likely, we will end up cleaning it off the nail beds. But we're putting it on. We're putting it on anyway. Because it would be very challenging to try to avoid the nail beds. We're just going to bounce this a little bit. Okay, I'm going to pounce that a little bit. We want to get in between the fingers. His fingers are kind of nice in that they really look like fingers side by side. They don't look like a lot of, they don't look like completely like vinyl stuck together. They do kind of really look like fingers, which is nice. Okay, so we pounce there. Now we're going to go ahead with the arm. I'm going to go ahead with the lower arm. Okay. And then I'm going to pounce. Did you look at the live? I did a mini haul. I revealed Canon there. So, yes. Um, I don't know if I mentioned that already in this video. I'm not sure. If I did, well, I've just mentioned it again. If I didn't, I'm mentioning it. Yes. So now we're going to just pounce, pounce. Remember, I like to go in kind of like little circles so that we don't have any sharp edges. I want to make sure that there's nothing pulling in the creases. Okay. And that's nice. You almost can't really see anything, but it's a little something there. I'm going into the creases to be sure that there isn't any pooling, because anywhere there's pooling, it will not look nice. It will end up looking muddy. So we want to make sure that we're paying attention to where the fingers connect, the folds in between. We want to pay attention to the entire kit, however, specifically to those areas. Okay. Now, you know, I like doing arm, arm, leg, leg. But so that this video isn't excessively long, I'm going to go ahead with the leg, the left leg. But you know, I like to start left and fine. Now this happens to be the right foot. Gotta switch it. I don't confuse myself. I like to do it that way so that I know where I am on the kit. Okay, so we're gonna go over his feet, his toes. He has a nice sized foot. I don't know, he's a 20-inch, but he has a nice sized foot, like he can wear, like it wouldn't be a challenge to find shoes for him. I don't know, I'm just saying. I haven't measured his foot to know what size his foot is to know that. Um, Finding shoes for the reborns is not easy. Sometimes you can find actual doll clothes that may fit the reborn. Sometimes that works. Definitely works for the preemies. Looks like a piece of here. So yeah, so I'm just going over with the foundation layer. I will more than likely do 2 layers of this. I would like to encourage you to check out the other paint series that we have with our baby Kato and our honey. They both are waiting for their hair. Kato is finished. He's sealed and everything. He just needs his hair. Honey, she needs to be sealed and she's waiting for hair. So yeah, so that's where they are. So I would encourage you to check out their series if you haven't already. And even if you have, it's fun to watch it again. I know I do that. I look at things multiple times, and each time you can get something different out of it. So, yeah, so I'm going to finish up off camera with this portion of our baby Canon, our 20-inch Realborn from Bountiful Baby. We will ask that you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. Peace and blessings. Come back real soon.